When a lion doesn't know he's a lion, he lives his whole life thinking maybe he's a cat, a house cat. And that's where too many of our people are today. That's where a lot of us we are. We don't know we are superiors. We don't know we are queens and kings. We don't know we are leaders. We are living thinking we are oppressed because we are being controlled. The truth is we are lions, and we have always been. If there is one thing history has shown us, it's oppressors are not afraid of our pain. They are not afraid of our protest. They are not afraid of our hashtag, but they are afraid in us knowing the truth. Grand rising kings and queens, Wagwan. All of you from Africa, the continent, and across the ocean, welcome back to my little space. I sent you so much love. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, what black people we don't know, what was hidden from us? I'll say this. A number of things was intentionally hidden from us. And it's the very thing that has kept us from stepping fully into our power. Now, I always say, there's a power shift that's happening, and I can feel it. I don't know if you can feel it. It is something on the sky, spiritual, sacred. Black people are coming to power, slowly by slowly. It is taking time because there's a number of things we don't know. Now we are knowing and we are changing. Now, first, they told us our history began with slavery. Our history began with colonization. They told us that we were poor, lost, broken, and in need of saving. They told us that Africa was nothing but jungle, disease, and poverty. But what they never told you is what they made sure you'll never know. Before the ships, before the chains, before the whips, black people rolled, black people built, we led, and not just in Africa, but across the globe. Before they even dreamed of enslaving us, our people were already the blueprint of civilization. I want you to imagine a time when the Nile River carried ships filled with gold, ivory, and knowledge. I want you to imagine when cities in West Africa was filled with libraries, universities, and bustling markets. When Mali, under Mansa Musa, was so wealthy that the man could give away gold until it dropped the value across nations. They didn't tell us about the Great Zimbabwe. No. They didn't tell us about the stone architecture so advanced, even Europeans thought it was impossible for Africans to have built it. They even said it was aliens. They didn't tell you that the Moors, black African Muslims, ruled part of Europe for over 700 years, bringing mathematics, science, arts, and medicine to a continent that was living in dark ages. That is Europe. It was living in dark ages while black people, we were ruling. They never told you that. They did not tell us that in the Americas, before Columbus, black people were already trading and traveling, that in Asia, in India, in the Pacific Island, black influence shaped cultures and kingdoms. I know they wanted you to think your history started in chains because if they control the beginning of your history, they control the way you see yourself today. But family, they have hidden maps. They have looked away. They have locked away the manuscripts. They have destroyed the monuments, okay? And when they couldn't destroy them, they put their names on them. They said, this guy started this, that started this. He was the inventor. He recovered this, he discovered this. And this is why black people don't know. It is not by accident. It was designed. It is by design. It's a strategic plan to keep us to be like that. One thing they did what we call psychological chains, or even I call it brainwashing, psychological chains. Once they took the chains off our wrists and ankles, once they stopped enslaving us, they put new chains on. That's why we have something we call neo-colonization in Africa. And these chains were invisible. The colonization is invisible. And they weren't made on iron anymore, those chains. They were made on lies, images, and systems. See, a physical chain stops you from moving your body, but a mental chain, they stops you from wanting to move. For example, Africans, we keep on voting old age colonial mind leaders. We don't want to move. They will tell us this and this. That is what we call psychological change. Maybe Black Americans will say we are not moving to Africa because Africa is not our home and everything. It is what we call psychological change. They told us to go to their schools. They told us to go to their churches, to read their books, to memorize their history. But did you notice that the history was always about them? Columbus discovered this. Who discovered this? And when we appeared in their books, once it was only as slaves. We appeared in their books as servants. We appeared in their books as the help, to ask for help as the problem. That's only when we appeared in their history books. And that's why Hudson, or Carter G. Hudson, the father of Black History Month, wrote The Miseducation of the Negro, because he understood if you control what a person learns, you control what they believe about themselves. And so generations after generations, Black children sat in classroom being taught to admire white heroes, being taught to believe white people or white people are the real heroes, white Jesus, and etc., etc. White inventors, white leaders. Black people, Black children are kept in schools learning about this. We ain't learning about the great Egypt, the Kemet. We ain't learning about Alec Blan. We ain't learning about Mansa Musa. We could take 1 week learning about Columbus' discovery, learning about Dr. Livingstone, learning about who discovered Jamaica, who discovered this. But they could not even take a second teaching us about the great Zimbabwe, teaching us about the Moors, teaching us about Mansa Musa. By doing this is something we call miseducation system. And another thing, we have media programming. First, they came with the television, the newspaper, and they came with Hollywood movies. They gave us criminals, gangsters. We only appear as criminals, appeared as gangsters, welfare queens, and hypersexualized stereotypes as the image of our people, so that even when we saw ourselves on the screen, it reflects who we are. We think that those people are who we are. Every gangster is a Black person. Every drug dealer is a Black person. So we saw it and distorted reflection. It's like holding a broken mirror. No matter how you look yourself on the broken mirror, the reflection is always wrong. And the saddest part is that Black people began to believe that broken mirror was the truth. We began to believe that our society as Black people is broken. Now, the master trick they played on us is something we call divide and conquer. They made sure that Black people in Africa, Black people in America, Black people in the Caribbean, and Black people in the Europe looked at each other with suspicions. It's happening even right now on social media. Black people fighting the Cold War, the diaspora war. But on the ground, we are okay. But they promote that on social media. They whispered lies in our ears. They told Africans that Black Americans did this. They told Black Americans that Africans did this. Or they sold you into slavery, or they don't care about you. They told the Caribbean brothers that you are better than those Africans and those African Americans. We go on, we started arguing. While we are arguing, we are pointing fingers. They kept, and we kept our distance. They kept building their power on our division. I have a short story here I learned back then of Sungura na Fisi. Do you know rabbit? It's hare. These storybooks we are learning about hare and hyena. Hare wanted to go and is it hare or rabbit? Wanted to go and steal something from the farm of hyena. And these were two hyenas, the wife hyena and the husband hyena. This rabbit, it was a cloth. This side is yellow, this side is blue. It passed. The two hyenas started asking themselves, hey, I have seen Rabbit today. He has weared yellow gown. And the wife was like, no, he has weared blue, because the wife was this other side of the blue and the husband on the other side. And they started arguing and even fighting. The hare went, it stole what it wanted to stole, it came back. When it came back, it passed. Now, the one who saw blue saw yellow, and the one who saw yellow saw blue, and they started fighting again. The hare went, without them noticing that he was carrying, he has stole something from them. That is what they are doing to black people. They tell black Americans the face of this side and the face of that side they being told to Africans, and we start fighting each other. This is what black people don't know. The most of the fights we think are between us were planted by them. They want you so busy fighting your own reflection that you never realize the person holding the mirror is the one who put you in this situation in the first place. When a lion doesn't know he's a lion, he lives his whole life thinking maybe he's a cat, a house cat. And that's where too many of our people are today. That's where a lot of us we are. We don't know we are superiors. We don't know we are queens and kings. We don't know we are leaders. We are living thinking we are oppressed because we are being controlled. The truth is we are lions, and we have always been. See what our ancestors, we can tell from our ancestors, the great ancestors. Let me tell you something that maybe they never want you to realize, is that black people are not powerless. We are not powerless. We are not begging for scraps. We are not waiting for a savior. We already have power, more than the most of us can ever imagine. And the reason they work so hard to keep us distracted or to keep us distanced away from each other, divided and uninformed, is because the moment we realize that power, their entire system collapses. The entire system crumbles. We have culture power. I've talked on another video there. We have culture power. Everywhere you look in the world today, black people or black culture leads. Black culture is influencing the way people talk, the slang they use, the music they play, from the clubs of the New York to Tokyo, the styles, the rhythm is black people. From jazz to hip-hop to R&B, Afro beats to reggae, it's black people. We rule the fashion. We turn the simplest thing into statement. We make it cool, and they copy it, they monetize it. Even in sports, our brothers and sisters dominate the courts, the fields, the tracks, okay? We have culture power. I want to show you the power we have. We have culture power. We have economic power, money. In the United States, black Americans have over 1.6, 1.8 trillion in buying power, okay? So if we were a country, we will have one of the largest economies in the world. Trust me. But here's the problem. Our money, or black people's money, leaves our hand faster than it arrives. We spend it in other communities. We spend it in others, people's businesses. We don't spend it in our own businesses. Our brands, we don't spend it on our own brands, okay? So if we redirected even a half of that, we could be great. I talked about that on another episode. Even a fraction of it, we could rebuild entire nations without asking for a single loan from the IMF and the World Bank. The power we have, another thing, we have influence of the youths, okay? Go on social media right now. From TikTok dances to hairstyle, from slang to fashion trends, the young generation worldwide imitate black creativity. And this is influence, that is power. Because whoever shapes the minds of the youths shapes the future. But influence without ownership is just entertainment. It's like making noise. And that's where they have trapped us. They want us to be the performers while they stay the producers. And the youths, as the influence, we are discovering ourselves, and they fear when we discover. They fear when we discover. If there is one thing history has shown us, it's oppressions or oppressors are not afraid of our pain. That's one thing history has shown us. Oppressors are not afraid of our pain. They are not afraid of our protest. They are not afraid of our hashtag, but they are afraid in us knowing the truth. They are afraid that if we know the truth, that if we really know the truth, if we unite as black people, they are doomed. That's what they are afraid of. You can see from the history. They fear economic independence. They know that the day we stop pouring our money into their pockets and start circulating it within our communities is the day their economy system shakes to the core. They fear that a day when black farmers feed black families, when black-owned factories produce what we wear, when black-owned banks finance our homes, businesses, and schools, they are doomed. Because at the moment, their control over us becomes irrelevant. No loans from them, no approval from them, no dependence on them. You get me? They fear political unity. They have worked so hard for centuries to keep Africa divided and their diaspora divided from Africa, because they know if the 1.4 billion people on the African continent join forces with the hundreds of millions in the diaspora, we became the largest, most powerful political bloc on earth. Imagine Africa leaders sitting at the table with African Americans, Caribbeans, and Afro-Latinos speaking with one voice. Imagine trade deals, military alliances, and cultural exchanges happening without their permission. That is not just unity, that is freedom. And freedom for us means the end of control from them. They fear our global black network. We live at the age of instant communication. One can message someone in Jamaica while in Nairobi. So what they fear is us black people, that connectivity to build a global black network for business, for education, for protection, a network where we share knowledge, technology, and strategies. Because if we are connected, we can't be controlled the same way. And that's why they were restricting, even sometimes they were restricting Africans from going to America, or black Americans from coming to Africa, or Jamaicans from coming to Africa. They are making hard on them, very expensive, so that you don't afford and you stay back. Okay? They fear that we will teach the next generation the truth. They know that if our children grow up knowing that they are descendants of kings and queens, they are descendants of inventors, builders, no racist system can convince them that they are less than anyone else. If our youths grow up speaking African language alongside English, French, and Spanish, if they learn African history alongside world history, then their minds can never be colonized again. Because what they are doing is colonizing our mind. We are not colonizing by chains and whips. We are being colonized mentally. Everyone thinks a white man is a better man. When you see a white man as a black man, you jump. You celebrate. Okay? This is why they work overtime to keep us distracted, to keep you distracted. This is why they push entertainments over education. This is why they flood us with divisions and fear. Because the day we discover and act on the truth is the day we refuse to play their games, is the day the game is over. We say game over. My people, one of the greatest lies ever told of black people worldwide is that we are different from each other. They told the Africans in Nigeria and the Africans in Kenya, in Ghana, and that the African Americans is not your brother. One time I was in the street and I was asking Kenyans, what do you think about African Americans? One said, they are not like us. How? Mind you, black Americans were taken, the strongest ones, the ones who have something to do, the ones who have brains. Even if we are not the same, then they are better. They told the African Americans that Africa is a place of poverty and hopelessness. As a black American, if they told you that, and you see them coming here every time, you see them creating chaos in African lands and taking our... Why do they keep coming here? Ask yourself that. They told the Caribbean that they are separate, special, different from the rest of the black world. Now, we believed it. I cannot lie, we didn't believe. We believed it, and we let them convince us that our bloodline was broken, that our struggles were not connected, that our destinies were separate. The truth they hid, it's coming out. And here's what they don't want us to know. That every African in the diaspora, whether in America, Europe, and the Caribbean, carries Africa in their DNA. The rhythm in our music, the patterns in our speech, the resilience in our spirit is the same bloodline. When the transatlantic slave trade ripped millions from the continent, they thought they could erase the connection, but they couldn't. Because Africa is not just a place. Africa is a pulse, and you can't kill a pulse. And these divisions always help them. But don't ask about why they are dividing us. They are not getting up. No, the division help them. What they do is to work so hard to keep us apart, because they know if a Black American and a Nigerian start building businesses together, game over. If a Ghanaian and a Jamaican start trading directly, if a South African and a Haitian start exchanging technology and resources, then the West loses control of the supply chain. So the narrative they have been keeping and the money, it vanishes. Division keeps us dependent on them, but unity makes them dependent on us. And the new reality is that we are finding each other as Black people thanks to the technology. Those walls that are being builded with them are falling, and we are talking to each other directly on social media. We are talking to each other. We are traveling. And you see it when African Americans visit Ghana for a year of return. You see it when African continents or content creators collaborating with Caribbean influencers. You see it when African youths are rising up. Their voices echoes across the diaspora, and they are being supported by the diaspora. Just imagine this. After producers, imagine this. Africa produces the raw materials. The diaspora owns the factory and the technology. Together we control the product and the market. Imagine the African tourism owned by Africans, marketed by the diaspora, protected by our own security forces. Imagine Black doctors from across the diaspora working with African medical schools to build the best healthcare system in the world. That is not fantasy. That is possible. And we have to know that it is possible, but only if we destroy the lie that we are strangers to each other. We are one. We are one people. We have one story. We have one future. At the end of the day, every these things, the lie and everything they are put there, we need to have solutions. We have talked about what they have hidden from us. We have talked about the chains they have put on our minds, the psychological chains. We have talked about the power we already have and the unity they fear. Now it is time to move from talking to doing. We need to do. We need to work, because knowing without action is wasting energy. First solution, we need to have self-education. We can't rely on the same school system that miseducated us to free our minds. We must take control of our own narrative. We must take control of our own learning. And that means reading the books they don't take or teach in schools. It means studying African history before colonization. It means learning about Black inventors, scientists, rulers, and revolutionaries. This means teaching our children early, so they grow up knowing their values, they grow up knowing their system, they grow up knowing where they come from, they grow up knowing their value without searching for it. Number two, we need to have economic circulation. We must make a habit of supporting Black-owned businesses locally and globally. Each and every dollar we spend is a vote for the kind of world we want to live in. If we keep voting for others' communities without our money, they will keep winning. They'll keep winning elections we never signed up for, like what happened right now. When you spend in your economy, the money comes back to you. It creates jobs, funds schools, and build infrastructure. Let's take it further. Invest in Black businesses, buy shares, start partnership across the diaspora. Number three, we need to have what we call political awareness and unity. Technology advancement, cultural protection, because we must protect our culture the same way others protect their oil, the same way they protect their land, their currency. We must protect our music, our fashion, our language, our art. These are not just entertainments, these are resources. This means owning our record labels, owning fashion stores or fashion brands, owning our film studios. This means refusing to let outsiders profit from our creativity. I think that's things we need to do. We need to find solutions to our problem. We have walked through the shadows together today, and we have uncovered the lies, exposed the chains, and revealed the power they never wanted us to know or to see. But this is not just another speech. This is not just another video. This is a call for you to rise, because knowing only is the first step, but doing is what changes the world. I want us to talk. Let's communicate, Africans and Black Americans. So The world is shifting right before our own eyes. Old systems are crumbling. Empires that once looked untouchable are shaking at the foundations. Africa is awakening. Black voices in America are refusing to be silenced. The Caribbean is demanding sovereignty. And this is our moment. And moments like this don't last forever. If we hesitate, if we wait for permission, if we keep thinking, we will miss the door that is standing open right now. Your role in this movement, your role in these videos, your role is that you don't need to be famous. You don't need millions in the bank. You don't need political power, but you need commitment. Commitment of knowing your history. Go on, learn your history, continue, teach your children. Commitment to spend your money where it empowers your people. I saw where Black Americans were talking about boycotting African businesses, and this was a win to white people, to the white system. That's what they want. Spend the money on their farms, spend the money on their salons, spend the money on their factories. And we as Black people, we don't see anything that will help us anymore. So every conversation you have, every purchase you make, every place of knowledge you share is a brick in the house we are building for the next generation. And I have a vision for the next 50 years. I was thinking of a vision in the next 50 years. If we move together, not next year, but then in the next 50 years, if we move together, Black communities worldwide will own their food supply, will own their banks, their schools, and their technology. If we move together, African nation will be industrialized and technological leaders. The diaspora will know they are descendants of greatness, or the diaspora will be united under a shared political and economic agenda. When we move together, our children will know they are descendants of greatness and they will live like it. This is not a dream. It's not a dream. This is a blueprint. And you know it. You are the architect. So you know it. So family, they told us that we are powerless. They told us that we are divided. They told us that we were at the bottom. But the truth is, we were never powerless. We were never broken. And we are never less than anyone else. So tell me what you think on the comment section about this video. Do you think I'm right? Until next episode, peace out.